So this guy says half the world's population wiped out like that. You're off the chain, mate. Absolutely off his nut. Somebody stop this guy. Look at that. Look at that face, though. Look at that face. I take my job way too seriously. You're mental. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, that little comedy bit in. Yes, it was an attempt at comedy. Was not involved with a Marvel Contest of Champions based video. In some ways it is, as we're going to be talking about the puzzle. As next year we've got Avengers 4 hitting cinemas. It only feels right that we mention that in some way when talking about the puzzle. So, let's go over to the puzzle. Well, that sort of worked. We're missing half of the champions, so that's Thanos gag, you know, from the film. He snaps the fingers and people die. Yes. Anyway, Marvel Contest of Champions. The champions that we're going to get. We don't know. There's question marks. There's question marks here, down in the bottom right. What have Kabam been doing? They've been adding in this section here. Do you know what this needs, they said? We need an extra section where we can just go, we'll take out the Marvel Contest of Champions logo and we'll stuff a load of question marks and going, we can prolong this. We can tease them further. This is how we roll. And it worked. It really did work. But that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to discuss what we've had into the game and what potentially to come with Marvel's films that are being released next year, and also some stuff that's coming on this year that we know about. So let's talk about it. And now this comes a point in the video where I shrink myself down to an Ant-Man-like size. Let's do it. Hello. Yeah, I'm really tiny for whatever reason. This is kind of helpful, but at the same time, you're like, why is he so microscopic? Well, this is more for me pointing out certain things that are happening and champions that we're adding in. Do. So let's kick things off with what we know. And as you can see in the big red circle up here, there is Red Skull, there is Korg, and finally there is Heimdall. And these three champions we know came in August. So it does chart a very odd and unusual way of releasing champions. Obviously 3 champions a month is good in some ways, bad in others. But Kabam have an idea of obviously what they're doing. And it's good to see Red Skull finally enter into the game. And as well with Heimdall and Korg. All 3 champions did deliver. I think that Red Skull was the one that didn't really hit with both cylinders. And the player base was a little bit unsure whether or not they were going to take him up, especially with the arena scores and how they charted. Next up, I'm moving my red circle over to the left hand side. We can see that we have definitely got Emma Frost and we've definitely got Omega Red, 2 mutant champions that have come into the game. Now, this is the September release, but I'm still a little bit unsure whether or not the placement over here is correct. I do somewhat agree that Omega Red isn't really associated too much with the mutants, and the same way that Sentinel plays some sort of part in that is not being a big part. Emma Frost, on the other hand, is a surefire hit and associated with the X-Men. Will this mean something for, and this is the thing I'm trying to get my head around, whether or not over the far end over there with all these new blank question marks being added, is this going to be an association around one particular character? And it could be several, and some theories that I'll cover in a moment for that. But could it be an X-Man or X-Lady and then other characters associated with it? Would it be something to do with the release of Avengers 4 next year? Or will it be a surprise introduction with a character quite like Doctor Doom? We'll discuss that further in a moment. Let's go on to what we know and this next months as they progress. There's one thing that we know of. In some information that was dropped, letting the player base as well as letting some publishers know about what was going on with Marvel Contest of Champions, it was put in an article, and I can't for whatever reason find it. It did say there will be a Venom movie version as well as a couple of other champions. But the odd thing is that how would they work out? Would they indeed do something like Riot? And this is why I've put in there Riot, who is a type of symbiote, as well as this is what's featured in the upcoming Venom film released in October. We have then got potentially a Venom different version, where they have 2 types of symbiotes released at the same time, a new type of Venom and at the same time Riot. My bank is largely on Riot as opposed to Venom, but there could be something in association with that film, maybe a sneaky cameo. Don't really know with this, but in the same month there should hopefully be a buff to Carnage. That is what is rumoured from this. So there's a lot to really kind of take in for October. It could be a case that it will be an unknown Spidey villain attached to this, or maybe a Spider-Woman, or another Spider-Man or woman kind of crossover. That could be a very exciting introduction. Hopefully it'll be better than some of the ones that have, well, they've kind of missed the mark with performance. Next up, we're going to jump in the gun a little bit over to next year. March 2019 sees the release of Captain Marvel in cinemas. I think it was in that published article that we would receive a different type of Captain Marvel, one that was more in keeping with the film, one that looks pretty cool, maybe one that resembles Brie Larson. It's very hard to tell, but it's going to be pretty cool nonetheless. And also followed up with Korath the Pursuer. And we did see this in Guardians of the Galaxy, this particular character, who is actually making a comeback in the film. I tip that it's going to be a different version. This version may look a bit more stockier and more like Ronan the Accuser, that very kind of Kree, kind of really strong, kind of muscular look. I think that's probably what they're going to go for, and I would actually prefer that, really, just because it's in keeping with the kind of comic booky style as opposed to anything resembling more of, say, a movie version. Next up, and it's time to address the elephant in the room, and that is the association with the Collector and with the Grandmaster. Several different theories with this. I've always gone with Galactus Silver Surfer, based on a stronger opponent for Act 6, but, and here's the but, there are some other things that we should really consider. As we know, the crystal kind of looking version of the Collector's daughter, which I believe is Karina, is something to consider as a link between the pair of them, the Collector and the Grandmaster. But as well, we need to consider other aspects of elders. There could be some more elders being introduced in the coming Act 6, which this will likely be the case if we're creating that story and continuing it on. The other thing that it could be is that, yeah, indeed, Galactus and indeed Silver Surfer being the two big linchpins in any type of future goings on in Contest of Champions, especially with the rights side of things going back over to Marvel and Disney. Is this something that then could be filtered out to Marvel games for rights to be used to get these characters into their games? Exciting times are ahead for this, so do look out and do watch this space. But everyone else's theories will probably be better than mine, so you run with it. And the final section to talk about is indeed the bottom right. Now, I've got my own theories with this, and again, it falls back to the right side of things. Back when this image came out, which I believe was June, so it was a case, it was about 3 months ago when this image came out. It was about the time that the rights were being shipped over, or they were in great discussions about it, and it's only been a done deal as of the last month. But it did seem like it was on the cards that Disney would get those rights back. Is this bottom section in preparation for that? Or is it in preparation for next year? When I did a little bit of the calculations, it looks like all the champions that are indeed on this puzzle could see us through just about to the next Avengers film. So Avengers 4, they could see us just to then. So there may be a lot of different characters that could be coming on. The mistake could be on my behalf. We're going, oh, okay, that's fine. Well, we could see 2 Fantastic Four champions 1 month, another 2 in a future time. This theory then gets completely shot out if then you consider other stuff like mutants. There could be an increased amount of mutants in the game. As you can see from here on the mutant side, there's not really a huge amount. Yeah, you could argue with that and say, well, there is a large amount, but a lot of them are rehashes. It isn't the case that original mutant champions and characters. We've still yet to see ones like Legion. We then yet to see Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, and it goes on. Pyro, Sunspot. Yeah, again, I could go on and on and on about mutant characters that have not seen the light of day, but we could do a second lot. Could it be a change in that the board, and we could see a brotherhood of mutants and a split around? It's really hard to tell. But do watch the space, because everything can change. But I do believe very strongly, especially in the Fantastic Four side of things being put in at a later date, especially Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is a champion that the player base has called out for since day dot. And it looks fairly likely in 2019 we could indeed see that. Yeah, we've also got other champions that I've put in here like Nova. Nova is one that is guaranteed. It was talked about in the press release that that character would enter in at a later date. Whether or not it's end of the year this year or early next year, only time will tell. And then other characters in line with the release of the second Avengers film, where they do an event where we see Ebony Maw or Black Giant or Black Dwarf even. Even Thanos' son Thane could be among those, and having a cool little kind of link up. It could be something that could happen. It could be something for Act 6 at a later date and reintroduce Thanos back into that, because Thanos as a character is kind of okay. Certain player base have him, but any kind of tangible stories have been Act 3. Could we see the return of Thanos and something running for Act 6? Personally, I'd like the Galactus Silver Surfer idea and something of a really strong, tangible story that everybody in the community goes, wow, that's actually pretty cool, and some unique nodes that could be applied to that. Either way, there are exciting times to come on whatever champions and characters I've been putting into the game. So that has been a video all about what I think will be the introductions to the puzzle. And what are your theories? Do you have a different theory to mine? Are there ones and champions that you're surprised came in this year and you think, well, you know, I'm not sure about that, I'd like to see something else? What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. I've been RichTheMan, and as always, I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye bye for now.